is allowed to take the children. Nobody can stop him because, the Sharia says that the man can take the children, the grandfather can disinherit the children. Everything is against these women. So if they want to open a bank account, they need their husband's permission. If they want to do a job, they have to have their husband's permission. Everything the husband has to first nod. So in a situation like that, how do you remain all there? It's very difficult. And of course, there's always the economic hardship. There's never enough money to, for enough food to go around. You're living in a slum. So all that really impacts at least the minorities in slums, the Muslim minorities.
I think I just want to make a point here. Sorry, I'm butting in and I'm taking your chance here. I think the core of the entire issue is information. People just don't know. They don't know what are the rights. They don't know what needs to be done. They don't know when a problem happens, what to do with it. They don't know what is the person in front suffering from and how to react to it. For example, in India, the biggest challenge that I have seen in front of me is when you see a person with an intellectual disorder, you shy away, you run away, or you don't know what to do. It is not because you don't want to behave properly. It is because you don't know how to react. You don't know if the child comes and smiles at you and holds your hand. How do you react to that? Or probably when they're laughing and talking endlessly, what do you do? Similarly, in the case of the women you mentioned, nobody has ever told them that you can actually fight back. They've never been taught so, or they don't know that. When you are looking at, there's so many laws, there's so many organizations that work towards it. How many people know about these? The NGOs. So there needs to be a lot more information which will empower people.
Absolutely.
And obviously, then there has to be a set of empathy creating elements that we need to definitely push into all Indians. Indians are very low in empathy.
So just a follow-up question to both of you, because you mentioned about, the acuteness, the acute shortage of information. Like, at least now we have a legislative provision in terms of the 2018 Mental Health Care Act, which kind of mandates the government to kind of provide access to services and interventions for anyone below poverty line or not, for kind of mental, but the kind of preparedness, and I'm kind of talking really rustic language. I think the inability of us, one is to make even an assessment that the person is dealing with a certain mental health condition, especially coming from the fact that all of us, I live in the other side of Delhi, I live in Patparganj. The fact that it kind of mentally stresses me to sit in a car and come here an hour and a half in the morning and 2 hours and above on a bad karmic day to go back to Patparganj is actually stressing out. It actually depresses. The moment I see the clock ticking 5, it starts making me upset. How am I going to go home? But on a follow-up question, Shubha, to you, slightly unlinked, but I just wanted to touch on this based on the agency of a body, specifically in minority. Most of our institutions are still majority dominated, whether by class, by ethnicity, by creed, or by economic status. How then do these disenfranchised people have access? Because I'm kind of building on what Dipankar said, when he talked about information. But what if there is information but there isn't any access? I said three psychiatrists for 100,000 people. You said 0.73. Then how do we build on the access?
I think the government will have to really do something about this because we have an epidemic staring at us. 1 in 4 people has a mental illness problem. So, you and you and you. It's any one of us. And we are still looking at it in a way that we want to hide it away and sweep it away. Now it doesn't make any sense. I also wanted to add in that in the Nizamuddin Basti, what I have seen is, if you've ever been to the dargah to listen to the qawwalis, then just behind, when you're facing the qawwals, then behind you, I remember when I went the first time, was listening to these qawwalis and feeling very, good about myself. And then from the back, there were these horrible shrieks, like somebody howling. And actually, I just jumped out of my skin. It was so frightening. I asked somebody, what is happening? Who are these people? So I was told that they are women who are mentally afflicted and they are in the enclosure behind and they are being beaten to get the demon out of them. So this is the level of cure right now, you know. And otherwise there are these hakims and all who will give you a taweez and you're supposed to wear that taweez and then whatever evil spirit is inside you will go away. This is the level of awareness at the moment, you know. And as far as I know, there is no psychiatrist in Nizamuddin Basti. There is none.
Thank you. Shubha, moving over to Shubhaji, I have two questions, and because we're in paucity of time.
Sure.
One is because of your own corporate background. You know, I've been championing for the issue of mental health at the workplace in my own role as an inclusion and diversity director at KPMG. How do you look at mental health as a diversity issue in the corporate space, number one? And because you earlier talked about the role of primary caregiver, would you want to throw some light on that aspect? Although it's not, for me, I did not think of that when I originally crafted the session flow. Would you want to talk about these two issues in your interventions?
Sure. I'll start with the perspective of caregivers, and I think, you know, just to echo what Dipankar, you know, mentioned earlier, information, and to touch upon what Shubha said in terms of you know, government, you know, trying to assist in this whole thing. I would rather say, like, you know, the common thread, or what I would say is missing here, is awareness in the society, and I think there's a predominant need for people, you know, from all walks of the society, and to make people more aware. And I think information, spreading and sharing information is also about making people aware, not only on the social media platform, but in different ways and manners. You know, it could be from a corporate perspective, you know, having, like, you know, breakaway sessions, and where HR could be a predominant catalyst in driving that. And I haven't, you know, seen that much from my experience. Now, you know, and which works both from a perspective of caregivers, because caregivers are lie in every aspects of human life, you know, and corporate is one just attribute of a human makeup. You know, it could be, you know, somebody running a business, which is even more dangerous or more difficult, because, you know, they need to be present for their business all the time, and, you know, there is no respite for them. So I think one aspect of it is very important, which I feel is, in India we do not have avenues of respite care, because every individual, whether it's a caregiver, whether it's from a corporate, we need a break.